this module, I want to cover what is Amazon DSP, when you should use it, and all of the little bits and pieces and technical terms of Amazon DSP, how you can understand performance of Amazon DSP, and how Amazon PPC and DSP relate to each other. And so, as of right now, Amazon DSP is this advanced version of Amazon PPC and only available use through agencies. So you have to contact an agency that has a seat with Amazon DSP to run Amazon DSP. You can't just go on Seller Central and run it yourself. However, I want to break it down so you understand all of the different pieces of Amazon DSP and understand when people are running it for you, how to keep them accountable. So what is Amazon DSP? DSP stands for Demand Side Platform. And basically, if you've ever seen Men's Health magazine and all these other online sites, what they do is Men's Health magazine, for example, brings in a lot of people every single day, millions of visitors to their site. And so they're bringing all these millions of visitors. They don't necessarily sell their own products. So what they do is they open up that inventory for advertising. And so that's supply side. And then there's demand side platform, where Amazon finds those supply sides and then advertises on them. And so that's how you can benefit from Amazon's DSP by, first of all, having Amazon's data and saying, you know, I want to target my competitors. Like who's purchased for my competitors in the last 365 days but hasn't purchased in the last 90 days from anyone. Let's target those people, right? Seems like they didn't like my competitor's product. And let's target them on Amazon. Let's also target them off Amazon. Let's retarget them everywhere they go. And so that's the power of Amazon DSP. It's another advertising platform you can use to supplement your PPC. It's definitely not a replacement for PPC. PPC comes first, and you should really optimize your PPC. And if you notice that you're bringing people in through PPC and everything's converting well, and you're like, okay, I think now it's time to go a little bit top of the funnel, that's when you should start using Amazon DSP. So Amazon DSP, when should you use it? Basically, when you feel like your PPC is doing pretty well and you just need to bring more people into your listing. So you've already spent money on PPC, your listing converts well. As you drive people into the listing, you have a good unit session percentage, and you say, well, I'm willing to invest into a long-term strategy into bringing people that are new to my brand. You basically want to go upper funnel. And upper funnel, let's break down the funnel really quickly. The bottom is basically the people who are loyal to you, who are going to convert again. Right above that are people who have looked at you and considering buying. That's maybe retargeting. And then as you move up, you're going further and further away from that warm audience, closer to a cold audience that doesn't know you. They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about buying your product. They're not browsing actively for your product on Amazon. And then maybe just making them aware, and then retargeting them, and then letting them know, hey, we're here, we have an amazing product, and then finally converting. So how much money should you be spending on PPC before using DSP? There's no answer to that. Using DSP is a personal decision, which means you have to decide that your PPC is pretty well optimized, your conversion rate is pretty good, and you're deciding to invest into a longer term strategy to bring people from other audiences into your audience pool, and then continuously retargeting them, eventually converting them, and then putting them through a loyalty cycle if your product is somewhat of a recurring purchase, or if you're trying to upsell them more of your own product. So I want to jump into an Amazon DSP advertising console and break things down right in there. So as you can see, this is the advertiser name. What the advertiser name is basically means the name of the brand that you're advertising for. So as an agency, basically I can advertise for as many brands as I want, and they're differentiated by the advertiser name. Inside the advertiser, you'll notice that we have different orders. So this is the order, then line items, creatives, pixels, audiences, events, studies, inventory report, and so on. So I'll break down the ones that matter the most, which is orders, line items, creatives, audience, and so on. So what orders are, and so just think of it as a campaign and try and segment it by strategy. So if it's a retargeting campaign, that would be a retargeting order. And then within that, you can have different line items segmenting different things that you're trying to test within that order. So again, to summarize, an order is basically like your campaign, but basically a funnel strategy. Next up, inside of an order, there are line items. So I'm going to jump right in here. Here are the different line items. You'll see that I segmented the line items here by a couple different things. First one is it mobile app, or is it mobile just on a browser, or is it desktop? Second is it Amazon's owned and operated, O&O, or is it APS, which is Amazon Publisher Sites? And basically, I'm trying to segment as much as possible to understand when I advertise, where I advertise, how much does that matter? It could be that on the mobile web, I do really bad, but the app performs incredibly well. And then it could be that on Amazon sites, I perform amazing, but on publisher sites, I'm doing really bad. So I want to have that level of granularity and double down where I think things are working, and then cut things off where I don't see them working. Just like we would in our PPC, if a keyword's not working, turn it off. In this case, since we have more variables, which are where I'm going to advertise, both device and actual Amazon inventory, so I want to kind of segment by that. Next, I want to walk us through the order settings. So order settings are pretty simple, but basically you can say what the goal KPI is. So do you want a better ROAS, or do you want better reach? You can have the budgets and the dates of the budgets. You can also have a frequency cap. Now, frequency cap is basically how frequently you can show your product to people. Sometimes you can say, I want to show them 8 times a day maximum. Sometimes you say, I want to show them 20 times a day. Sometimes it's only 2 times a day. That's one of the things I'll talk about in one of the other modules, which is the optimization and how to optimize using that fact. Next, I want to cover creatives. So there's 2 types of creatives on Amazon that you have to worry about. Number 1 is what type of creative it is, and number 2, the actual creative, what's on the creative, what's on the image. And so the types on Amazon could be a regular fixed creative with a single dimension, or it could be something like responsive e-commerce creatives, which basically means that Amazon will pull from your listing and then change the dimensions based on where it's placing. Is it the banner on the desktop, or is it somewhere on the mobile? And it'll just change it automatically. And so you have to split test the different creatives, because there's no way to know which one will work better than the other without actually running it, getting the data, and then making a decision. That's also a huge factor you can test. You can test what's being shown to audiences, and then in another module during the optimization, I'm going to talk to you about how you can split test different variables, again, to test how well the creatives are working. And finally, I want to cover audiences. So if we're looking here, these are all of the different audiences that you can build on Amazon. And I love how robust this platform is, because basically you can do any sort of targeting, contextual, custom build, demographic, in market. And what that does is Amazon will literally find people that have a browsing history of what your product is, and they can start targeting them. You can also do complementary stuff. So basically, if someone is buying a bicycle and you have a supplement for cyclists, you can actually ask Amazon who's browsing cycling, and then show my product to those people. You can also do a lot of creative things with audiences of your competitors, and you can say, I want to target everyone who's purchased from my competitors but hasn't purchased again. Or I want to target for everyone who's visited my listing but hasn't purchased in the last 30 days. So you can get really creative with the audiences. The audiences are really what fuel the advertising on DSP. Now, if you've noticed, a lot of things that I covered here were pretty similar to sponsored display. And so if you don't have access to Amazon DSP, you can still run a lot of the audience targeting through sponsored display. This is obviously a much more advanced version. So to summarize, we covered Amazon DSP, what it is. It's Amazon's advanced demand-side platform that utilizes Amazon's audiences and first-party data to target on and off Amazon using Amazon's data, custom creatives or listing creatives on Amazon. You can have multiple funnel segments, starting with loyalty, retargeting, all the way up to brand awareness.
Anh chị đang bán hàng trên Amazon, CUNG cung cấp các dịch vụ dành cho các nhà bán hàng trên Amazon với mức giá cực kỳ ưu đãi như đăng ký brand với USPTO, từ kênh, từ trên Quảng Cáo, logistics và warehouse. Xem thêm thông tin chi tiết dưới phần mô tả nhé. Anh chị đang bán hàng trên Amazon, CUNG cung cấp các dịch vụ dành cho các nhà bán hàng trên Amazon với mức giá cực kỳ ưu đãi như đăng ký brand với USPTO, từ kênh, từ trên Quảng Cáo, logistics và warehouse. Xem thêm thông tin chi tiết dưới phần mô tả nhé.